Right. Now we are into the powers and functions of the parliament. That is the most important thing. And you know, the parliament being the legislative wing of the government, the policy making body of the government, therefore, the parliament has to make the laws for the country, laws and acts for the country. And you see, it has got exclusive power as far as lawmaking is concerned, policy making is concerned. Now we'll be reading it one after the other. The very first thing is the legislative function, because it's the lawmaking body of the country. Now the legislative function, the very first thing is the parliament has the exclusive power to make laws on all the subjects included in the union list. And you know, the union list has got 97 subjects, and the subjects are all of national importances. And therefore, what happens that the parliament alone can make laws on all the 97 subjects of national importance. As per example, defense, finance, then external affairs, all right, home, railways, and so on. Like that, there are 97 subjects. So in all the subjects, it is exclusively the union parliament can make laws. The state legislature has got no role in any circumstances, normal or abnormal, to make laws on these subjects. All right, next, that is subjects of the state list. And the state list, there are 66 subjects. And you know, these 66 subjects are of local importances. I mean, these subjects are those subjects which are important only for the state itself. They may have their own regional laws. So it's important only for the states. And the state legislature can make laws on them. But, I use the word but. That means the union parliament can also make laws on the state list. All right, although it is given to the state, it is the power of the state legislature to make laws on these 66 subjects. But that is not their exclusive power. All right. So, the union parliament can also make laws on the state list, both in normal circumstances and abnormal circumstances. Here you have to understand what is normal and abnormal circumstances. See, during the operation of national emergency, or say president's rule, this is abnormal circumstances. But otherwise, it is normal circumstances. When there is no emergency in the country, or there is no president rule in one country or one state or few states. So those circumstances, that circumstances is normal circumstances. All right. So the union parliament has the power that it can make laws on both normal and abnormal circumstances. Say, during normal circumstances, the parliament can make laws on the state subject if Rajya Sabha passes the resolution by not less than 2/3 of its majority. If it passes a resolution to make a law on the subject of a state list, if the Rajya Sabha passes by 2/3 majority, the union parliament can make laws on them. That is one. Second, sometime what happens, 2 or more states may request, by passing a resolution by 2/3 majority, to the parliament to make a law in their respective states. But let me tell you, if the parliament make a law in such circumstances, if the parliament makes laws those laws will be applicable only in those states which have passed the resolution. These laws will not be applicable to all the states. All right. So, this is how during normal circumstances the Union Parliament can make laws on the subject of the state list, both in normal and abnormal. Abnormal means when there is emergency, the Parliament can make laws in all the 66 subjects of the state, because at that time the state legislature remains dissolved, and these days they are not dissolved, they are kept under suspended animation. But despite that, the laws of the states and all the union territories are made by the Parliament. So, that is during emergency. All right. Or during president rule also, the laws are made by the Parliament itself. All right. So, this is how the Parliament make laws in both normal and abnormal circumstances. Apart from that, that is third, that is subjects of the concurrent list. All right. That is, there are 47 subjects, and the Constitution says that subjects on the Constitution on the concurrent list are meant for both. I mean, it's important both for the entire nation and for the state. As for example, education. All right, education is a subject of concurrent list. Now, laws on education is made by both Union Parliament and state legislature. All right, both together. But there is another rule made by the Constitution, that if there is any dispute between the state and the Union Parliament, the decision made by the Union Parliament prevails. That means, here also we find that the power of the Union Parliament is more powerful than the states in case of or in terms of concurrent list. All right. Next is residuary subjects, or it is called residuary list as well. See, what are residuary lists? You see, all the subjects are not written on these union list or state list or concurrent list. There may be new subjects. So, the new subjects are generally included in the residuary list, and the Union Parliament has the exclusive power to make laws on all the residuary subjects or all the subjects included in the residuary list. All right. Next is ordinances. I suppose you must be knowing ordinances. What are ordinances? Ordinances are temporary laws made during the gap of the two sessions of the Parliament. There are basically two main sessions, winter and monsoon, and there is a gap of around 6 months. I am just jotting it down here. That is winter session and monsoon session, and there is a gap of 6 months. All right. And this is called recess of the Parliament. All right. So, these ordinances are made during the recess of the Parliament. All right. So, that's a different thing. But what I mean to say, what is the power on ordinances of the Parliament? First of all, these ordinances are basically made by the executive body, by the cabinet. And the cabinet happens to be the most important executive body of the country. All right. Now, this cabinet makes it, but it is ultimately issued or rather promulgated by the President of India. All right. Now, an ordinance can maximum exist for a term of 6 months, because after the completion of the 6 month, the recess period gets finished and is completed, and the next session starts. So the rule says, or the constitution says, that all these ordinances which are issued by the cabinet, made by the cabinet and issued by the President of India will have to be verified, and verified in the next session. And all those ordinances which are passed during these, promulgated during this recess, will have to be put forth as soon as the next session starts, that is, in this case, monsoon session. And within 1.5 months, that is, within 6 weeks, they are to be placed and passed. All right. If they are passed, it's all right. It will continue as a law because it is passed by the Parliament in its next session. But if it is not, it dies thereof. And at times, if it is not passed, as you know, it shows the lack of confidence of the Lok Sabha, and the government will also fall. All right, you know it well, I suppose. So that is how, in a nutshell, I can say the ordinances are ultimately controlled by the Parliament of India. The next is emergency. All emergency declaration is made by the President of India under the instruction of the cabinet. All right. But thereafter, as soon as the period of emergency ceases, they are to be once again placed in the Parliament and has to be passed. If it is passed, it's all right. If it is not, as I told you, it almost amounts to the lack of confidence, and the government will fall. All right. Anyway, that's a different thing. So what I mean to say, all emergency declaration is subject to verification of the Parliament. Next is all international commitments. Means there are so many treaties are made between our country and the other. All these international commitments. See, there are so many other commitments. India happens to be part of many international organizations. All right, this is what is called international commitments, and many other like that. So you see, all international commitments will have to be verified by the Parliament. As soon as the next session is held, all these commitments and all those treaties, whatever is made, or all those pacts as our country makes with other countries, are all verified by the Parliament. That means, as a conclusion, you come to know that the Parliament of India has exclusive power, legislative powers, and you know that the Parliament that way plays a very, very pivotal role as far as the legislative function of the country. All right.